This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Today's episode of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast is brought to you by The Athletic, premium coverage for passionate Detroit sports fans. Listeners of this podcast can save 30% off the first year of an annual subscription by going and visiting theathletic.com/DSP. All the hosts here on the network, we read The Athletic every single day. Become a part of a growing Detroit sports community. Subscribe and save. Visit theathletic.com/DSP.
Oh my God!
Welcome, everybody, to the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. This is episode 45. Oh, my goodness. We've got a jam-packed show for you today. I got news on Neville, got news on Velveteen Dream, I got injury updates for you. Of course, we're going to talk about Smackdown and Raw and all the happenings going on there. And you know what? I'm doing it with one guy and one guy only. He is my counterpart. He is my brother. He is my homie. He is the one, the only. He is the Doc, John Macaroon. What's up, cuz?
Well, cuz, you know what kind of mood I'm in today? I'm highly upset talking wrestling because of the fact that I had a guy that I was cheering for on Raw. I had a guy that I thought was going to be destructive. I had a guy that I was cheering behind. I wanted him to cash in the Money in the Bank and to become the world champion. And what does WWE Creative do? They turn him heel. I was like, no, what did they do? They totally took it in a direction. While I understand it, I'm totally pissed off that it went down that way. I'm totally upset, frustrated that WWE turned Braun Strowman heel.
Let's start there then, okay? And I totally get what you're saying, because naturally everybody wants to boo Roman Reigns. And naturally, everybody wants to cheer Braun Strowman. And Braun Strowman has been one of the most over baby faces in WWE now for months on end. There was no reason for WWE to turn him heel. It was totally unnecessary. You could have had Braun Strowman do anything else, because what they've done is they've given you a lot of shades of gray with Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns and The Shield. So there was no need to necessarily turn him heel right now. Didn't have to be done. Didn't even have to be done in the future. You could have let them sit there and continue on their way and play these gray characters where you're not sure if they're necessarily a good guy or if they're necessarily a bad guy. Instead, you turn Braun full-fledged heel, and it totally sucks the air out of what's going on with this character, because he's done such a great job getting over as a babyface. And now WWE wants you to boom. It's almost like what they did with Becky Lynch.
I don't know how closely you were paying attention, but Braun Strowman in the match with Roman Reigns, he turns heel. Obviously, he aligns with Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. So he comes in, and there's no reaction. There's no cheer, and there's no boos. And so they're going in to attack Roman Reigns, and the announcers had to say, how long have they known this was going on? When did they plan this? To plant the seed of doubt, to tell the audience that, hey, this is a join-up. So I felt like a crowd in Toronto, which is always hot, they always react to something, was disappointed.
That crowd was super hot.
And throughout the show, you're absolutely right. They were hot. For this, they weren't. I think they were bummed out or thinking, like, what's actually going on, a little bit confused, and the announcers had to set the scene as to what was happening. I get it in that Braun Strowman was frustrated that, obviously, he got thrown through the table by the Shield, and who does he align with? The baddest dudes. But then going forward, how does this play out? Who wins? The Shield, who are awesome, all the guys should be over, and then you got these three, Braun Strowman, and you got Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler, they all should be over. Who wins this clash? I don't think it comes away. I don't think the resolution of this is going to make anybody happy.
There's going to be collateral damage.
Yeah.
And that's really unfortunate, because you're right. All six of these guys
should be over. This is not the way it should have went down. It's frustrating that that's the way it went down, because I know you need a badass heel. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if Kevin Owens is taking time off, he's not there. I felt like you could have did it sooner with the likes of a guy that could deserve some main event spotlight in Dean Ambrose. Why? Why make it a guy that everyone was cheering for, and a guy that, you know, doesn't need really to align with anybody? It would have been just a better story to say, okay, you guys want to beat me up 3-on-1? Let's go. I am the monster, you know? But that's how it went down. But to start the show, a 15-minute promo. It was long. I was like, man, what a long promo to set the scene for this episode. And I'm like, okay, great. Here you go. Roman Reigns, again, opening the show, talking. You get everybody setting the matchups and things like that. So for me, the opening of Raw wasn't even that thrilling to keep my attention either.
Yeah, it did go on a little bit. And look, WWE has a formula. It's come out, it's 12 to 15 minute promo, sets up what's going to happen in the main event.
Yeah.
And throughout the show, you build towards the main event. It's what it is. I really wish we could come up with a different formula, like, I don't know, 5-minute promo, and then give me some matches.
Just start with a match. Start with your opening matchup. Have your promo in the third segment of the first hour. Dude, you don't have to give us a 12-minute promo, especially when you got a crowd like Toronto that's ready to cheer.
Yeah.
But you realized last week, once Kurt Angle was given a vacation, that Baron Corbin was going to take advantage of it. I liked it. I liked the fact that he used it to, all of a sudden, I'm not winning the matchup versus Finn Balor. Let's restart it as a no DQ match, and I'm going to take advantage of the rules and win the matchup.
See, I like that little twist to it, but I absolutely hated this match. This is something that I thought we were done with last week. After Finn goes demon at SummerSlam, the following night gets his title shot, his rematch for his WWE Universal Championship from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And he ends up falling short. I felt like Finn had a ton of steam. He was ready to go. They're ready to shoot him to the moon, ready to do something with his character instead of just kind of let him wither away in the mid-card. Instead, he gets
it's a prolonged feud.
Yeah, he gets to fight with Baron Corbin again. And we've already had this. I thought this was done. Like, I'm over this. And I don't need to see it anymore.
I understand, but given the fact that now what's happening is similar to what's going on at NXT is they're having prolonged feuds. Feuds don't necessarily end with right now a guy necessarily being declared the winner of the feud, meaning that just because Finn Balor's the demon, that was just actually the kickoff to that feud, according to the writers. And we have to start getting to that mindset that these feuds are not ending at pay-per-views, and even though we want it to end, you're definitely declaring a statement, I don't want to see this feud. I see that now some input behind the scenes has been, when these feuds are taking place, we don't want it to be just maybe a one pay-per-view and the feud onto the next thing. We want to drag this out, 50-50 booking, one person wins 1 week, one person wins the next week, and it naturally drags on a little bit longer than what you and I would want. And because it's Finn Balor and Baron Corbin, we want better for Finn. But this is a matchup that could also elevate another heel in Baron Corbin, so that's why I like it.
The issue I had with it, though, is it was like 5 weeks of building to SummerSlam.
Yeah.
We get to SummerSlam, and it's like, all right, cool. Like,
destruction.
Let's just move on. Like, he crushed Baron Corbin.
Yeah.
There's no, and then, like...
That's a natural end to a feud.
Yeah, there's no reason to come back. None. But I understand what they did, okay? So it was to show that Baron Corbin is now your heel authority figure.
Yes.
He used his power to sit there and get the win against Finn.
And going forward, do you think Baron Corbin could elevate himself to be one of the top bad guys? Does he ever get to the level of a Kevin Owens? Where he gets heat, where people hate his guts, and where he draws a reaction maybe to make some money, maybe the next IC champ, maybe into the world title picture in the next 2 to 3 years.
I think he has the potential to do it. It's whether or not he will put the pieces together and actually do it. You know,
it's tough, right?
A lot of guys got potential to be really, really good. They don't ever put it all together, and you don't ever get the complete package.
I see the picture, but I just don't see it as Constable Corbin. I don't like that, the way it's coming down with that angle, but I do see him being a badass heel. He's athletic. He can talk on the mic. People can naturally hate him because he's cocky. He just needs a little bit more of a twist, a little bit more to double down on being a badass heel, not doing it this way by the same old formula that we've seen in the past where you're just a heel authority figure.
Yeah, there's got to be something more. An absolutely great match. Absolutely
unreal.
Great.
I was like, whoa, I didn't want it to end.
Me neither.
And the crowd loved it. The crowd
loved it. So hot.
Yes.
Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins, it tore the house down.
As it should have.
Awesome.
It was very awesome.
Kevin ended up hitting Seth with basically everything he had and the kitchen sink. Seth responded and hit him with everything he had, including the kitchen sink. The crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." And even in defeat, the crowd gave Kevin Owens a standing ovation. It was awesome. Seth Rollins basically tipped his cap to Kevin Owens after the match because it was that good. It was that good. Kevin Owens, after the match, looks totally dejected. He's sitting in the middle of the ring on a steel chair. He's got a microphone in his hand, and he looks like he's crying. Like his face was red, his eyes were red. He looked visibly upset. He ends up uttering the words, "I quit."
I was shocked.
And he dropped the mic and walked out of the ring and walked to the back. And I was like, wait, what?
What did you just do?
Like, did I just hear that right? Like, I had to stop what I was doing and rewind it to hear it again because I wasn't sure I heard him right the first time. I was blown away. My jaw was on the ground. What do you think they're doing with this storyline? Because this is a storyline. This is a storyline. He did not legitimately quit WWE. He just recently signed a 5-year extension. WWE is playing this up great, as well as Kevin Owens.
Simple to see.
WWE moved him to the alumni page, and he's basically blacked out his entire Twitter. So
Yeah.
it looks like he quit.
Yeah, no, he did not quit, obviously. This is a guy that's going to be marketable. He just spent now the better part of the last 6 months kind of losing top feuds, and he's banged up. He's been on the road quite a bit. A natural way to refresh the character, because this guy is a badass heel, not a whiny bitch. This guy's a badass heel, a guy that can wrestle, take massive bumps, and he's done that now. He's gotten himself to that level. So,
The last
perfect
6
time.
months, he's taken massive bumps from
Exactly.
Braun Strowman.
A great time to reset, maybe come back around Survivor Series or the Royal Rumble, take some time off, reset the character, and come back and be a badass person, a badass wrestler that gets results and kind of comes back and elevates himself back into the title picture. Because you've seen the matchups, you've seen what he's able to do with these guys, and he can have amazing feuds with a lot of different individuals. Maybe even a shift to SmackDown might be in order just to get back over to that brand and have other feuds as well. But a simple reset, maybe you wait until Sami Zayn comes back and pair them back up. But whatever you do, you let him kind of rest his body up, get himself right mentally, and come back and introduce him as one of the top guys in the company, because he's shown it. This guy can have great matchups. It just hasn't been done and executed properly by having him lose these top matchups. So a good time off, like you said, you got to, have some people go away, be away from TV a little bit to miss him. And when he comes back, he should run roughshod. He should have a great 2019. His potential for an awesome 2019 will be great.
Yeah, I like everything you said. Okay, let me start right there. I like everything you said. Similar to when we were talking about Baron Corbin, right? Baron Corbin has the potential to be the top heel in the company. Well, Kevin Owens is the top heel in the company.
Yeah.
He's a 5-tool player, and he's a 5-star player. The guy does everything incredibly well. A lot of what you said, I second it. I think he just needs some time off. I mean, This guy's been put in a porta potty and pushed off a stage.
Yeah.
This guy's basically been in cars that have been crushed regularly. He's been on top of stages that have been flipped over. He's been manhandled, and he has taken massive bumps for Braun Strowman to get Braun Strowman to the point where they could just basically scrap his babyface character and turn him heel, which, again, bad booking on WWE. If I was Kevin Owens, I'd quit too. I'd be mad as hell. I'd be like, I just set this guy up, and now you just scrap this character that I just built for him?
Exactly.
Get the hell out of here.
Right.
All right, transitioning to SmackDown now. Very interesting and entertaining open. It was with the New Day and King Booker. I was really entertained to see King Booker come back out.
Yeah.
It was like I was
surprised.
It was unexpected, and I was like, all right, that's cool. It was a whole lot of nothing though. It set up for a 3-way tag match, which the Bar ended up winning. Not a whole lot going on there right yet. There'll be another 3-way tag match this upcoming Tuesday, and the winner of that will then face the Bar. The winner of that will then face the New Day at Hell in a Cell. Billie Kay has a quick and sloppy match with Naomi.
She's struggling in the ring.
Yes, I'm so frustrated by this because I see a lot of potential there. Similar to Baron Corbin again. This whole show, I guess, is going to be dedicated to Baron Corbin. They're great on the mic. She has a good look, right? She is basically everything that doesn't include working in the ring, she's very good at. But when she steps foot in the ring, it's like everything's either moving way too fast for her or she's moving way too slow. And it's a botch spot after a botch spot after a botch spot. To me, it's aggravating because I can see them being very good. I could see them being the top tag heels in WWE on SmackDown. But right now, she's just not getting it done.
Yeah, unbelievable because of the fact that you're trying to promote women's evolution. So every women's match should be awesome. And you're doing it at the expense of Naomi, a quality wrestler. So if Naomi's going to go down and you're going to have Billie Kay go over, the match has to be good. You can't be having women's matches be that toxic and that you can't put women on the air that can't put together matches, especially right now ahead of a major all-women's pay-per-view. It's unacceptable.
And I don't need it to necessarily be extra crisp, but I do need it to be really, really good, and I'm just not getting that.
Exactly.
The first real awesome match, though, comes about an hour into SmackDown. Daniel Bryan takes on Cien Almas.
Great
Yes.
potential for the future.
Dude,
wow.
I did not want this to end.
Yes.
Brie and Zelina Vega are at ringside. This match was awesome.
Do you think Almas took too many big bumps? I feel like he
Took a
was
lot,
working.
didn't he?
He was working his ass off.
He landed on the ring apron on his neck. I thought he was legitimately hurt there. But this was a match where I'm like, wow, you can see the seeds being planted for Daniel Bryan's next big match.
Nice.
And it will be against Cien Almas. It was awesome. So this match is going and going and going. It has a great end where Daniel Bryan and Brie end up getting laid out by The Miz and Maurice. I thought this was awesome. I thought it was a really good way to continue their storyline and help build it towards, I'm assuming, Hell in a Cell now. And on top of all that, like I said before, you have seeds planted for something else in the future. And if they're going to do this thing with Daniel Bryan and Brie, you now have that with Cien Almas and Zelina Vega.
Yes.
So if you're going to do another mixed match challenge or a mixed match tag, you've got different ways you can go. I think the booking on SmackDown is so much more flawless and sets you up so much better for the future. And this match right here is just a prime example of it, because you've got your feud going on right now. You're going to do this weird thing with a mixed match challenge. And then coming out of that, you've got Daniel Bryan, Cien Almas, or you've got another mixed match tag match. So you can go in 2 or 3 different directions just off this 20-minute match.
One thumbs down moment on SmackDown was the announcement that Jeff Hardy wants to fight Randy Orton in the cage. You already got a bunch of matchups that we're going to see in the cage. Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton doesn't seem worthy of it, and especially when everyone knows that Randy Orton's going to get over. I don't see a scenario in which Jeff Hardy's going to win a feud versus Randy Orton, and I don't want to see it in the cage because dude, everyone kind of expects now that Jeff Hardy's going to climb the cage and do something freaky, and at that age, you know, with having a series of matches that are slower and things like that, maybe you needed to be in the cage to add that violence to it, but I just saw it and I was like, ugh, can we get to the next segment?
Yeah, I was a little bit disappointed that Jeff Hardy didn't build off of the deranged look he had last week. I thought it was a prime window where he could have came out and he could have been a little bit darker. He could have went to his Willow character. There was more Jeff Hardy could have did, and it was just like, okay, here you go. Here's Jeff Hardy.
Exactly.
I didn't really like it. What'd you make of the AJ Styles promo? So he comes out to call out Samoa Joe, who interrupts him on the Titantron. Joe grabs his cell phone, calls Wendy, that's AJ Styles' wife, and asks about Annie, who's AJ's daughter. What'd you make of all this? Because this sent AJ into a rage.
Yes, for the most part, you and I definitely give SmackDown credit for being a 2-hour show. In this instance, I'm kind of starting to think, and while I was watching the segment and the way it played out, I said to myself, man, if SmackDown was 3 hours now with this level of talent, you could have then elaborated further and bring another.
Felt rushed.
It felt rushed. It felt like, you know, right now the way things are playing out, other feuds are more emphasized than the best guy in the company. And I'm thinking to myself, man, you know, how does any time get cut off of AJ Styles? The man deserves the 16-minute promo. The man deserves to have his story told and at least have more matchups. So it felt rushed to me, and I said to myself, I want more of this. I want to see more Samoa Joe, AJ Styles. This is great. It was rushed a little bit, but in terms of elevating their feud, it's fine. It's just the way it conceptually broadening it out. It just seems like other feuds are way more emphasized right now on SmackDown than the biggest guy with the biggest belt. It's weird.
Let me put it into perspective for you. So that first promo we get with the New Day and Booker T, that was like 16 minutes long.
Yeah.
Right? And then you've got the Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton promo.
Right.
That was another 12 minutes long. AJ Styles and Samoa Joe was roughly 7 minutes.
Right.
And then there was like 2 or 3 minutes in the backstage area.
Exactly.
And that was it.
Right.
So again, like you said, the guy with the biggest belt, the superstar of your brand, and not just SmackDown, but
Company-wide,
WWE.
that's the guy.
The biggest guy. You're only going to give him
10 minutes?
9 minutes?
Right.
You know, come on. Doesn't make sense. All right. So we end up closing SmackDown with the main event, which is Charlotte versus Carmella. I thought this was a great match.
Wow.
I'm so impressed. Every time
She stepped her game up, Carmella
yes,
did.
every time it gets ratcheted up, Carmella sits there and rises to the occasion.
Step your game up, girl, and she did.
Charlotte was awesome. Carmella was very, very good. And you can't say enough, because this is somebody who we have crushed in the past about not being very good in the ring, and she is doing an admirable job.
Yes.
This got even better after Charlotte taps out Carmella using the figure 8. Becky comes RKO from out of nowhere and lays out Charlotte. She grabs the mic, cuts a promo, finishing it with "you bitch" and throwing the microphone at Charlotte.
Nice, huh?
I am absolutely... So I was already in love with Becky Lynch, right?
This is crazy good.
I am absolutely in love with heel Becky Lynch. And
Everybody
the crowd
is.
is too.
Yes, they like it.
It's absolutely nuts, because I was sitting there watching this play out, and I can't remember the fans being this behind a full-blown, full-fledged heel in my life.
The right girl, the right situation, the right storyline results in this.
And she's got a great look.
And everybody is wanting that at the same time. And it's hard, obviously, with that talented of a roster on SmackDown and Raw to get that. And we're all wanting it for guys like Elias, Finn Balor, Baron Corbin, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose. It's just hard because you got to elevate other people. You got so many writers. You're telling stories maybe 5 months in advance. And so it's really hard to have everybody be over. But it's nice to see when someone is, that they can take advantage of it. And Becky Lynch, the way the story was told of her fighting for the belt and not getting it and then having Charlotte step in her place at the last pay-per-view to take the title, I think has been great, because once she wins it, it's pretty much certain at some point this character is going to have a title. It's going to be a great run and people are going to like it. And I think it was just a perfect culmination. And you just hope for that for a bunch more, and you just hope for that for a bunch of other talented individuals. But for Becky, it's going to be great to see, baby. Her run's coming.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. I absolutely loved it.
And I think maybe for you, you can say to yourself, you know what? The reason why you give the belt to Charlotte, and that's why she's been getting the belt on and off, is she can always be the go-to as the rub for the next person to get over, because she's the best. Charlotte is the most athletic. She visually looks like a WWE wrestler. She moves around the ring. She's got the character, and she's got the lineage. Whenever you look at her, you go, okay, that's a WWE star. That's, the daughter of Ric Flair. That's a girl that was working her ass off. So you can always give her a belt, and then you say, okay, who's going to take it off of her? It's going to mean something. Now, it sucks for her because she's going to have 20 title reigns in 2 years. But in the end, as a woman who can get people over, I can understand why you give her the belt, as long as it goes to Becky for a period of time, as long as it doesn't go the way it did with Sasha Banks, where it's like, okay, you get the belt for a month and I get the belt back. And no, give it to Becky Lynch, maybe at the Royal Rumble or Survivor Series, and let her carry it to WrestleMania.
And I will say this. I'm highly critical of WWE when they do a lot of the things that they do. But I can firmly say right now, I'm in love with them turning Becky Lynch heel. I was highly critical of it last week. But seeing it now, her in her full luster and her full lather, I love it. I think it's absolutely outstanding because of Becky Lynch, because of the Daniel Bryan Cien Almas match. Those two matches right there, I think, were better than anything that you got on Monday Night Raw. And because of that, I give a slight nod to SmackDown this week.
No doubt about it, by and large. I mean, you had the worst situation, the worst heel turn, I think, in the last 4 months. Braun Strowman deserves to be the monster that he was. And I don't think that when you look at it and you go, you turned Braun Strowman heel for Roman Reigns. Come on now.
Right.
Unacceptable.
Right.
What's going on with this week's news and notes? Hit me with it, baby.
All right, so late last week, WWE confirmed that Eric Rowan did suffer a torn bicep at SummerSlam.
Man, come on.
So he's going to be sidelined. And while
Bad luck for him again.
Absolutely. And he's going to recover from that. That's why they end up taking the belts off of them and put them on the New Day. Sticking with the Wyatt family, it's being teased that Bray Wyatt will be getting repackaged as Matt Hardy is transitioning into a backstage producer role. Do you see Braun and maybe Luke Harper getting paired with him and they do something to kind of bring that family back together?
Wyatt family reunion, huh? No, I just think that you got to stick with the Bludgeon Brothers. I mean, that was a great angle. Keep him the way it is. I think Wyatt deserves his own time now because he needs his own run. He's another guy that you can make a badass heel in the company too, and Raw desperately needs it.
So no surprise here, but it's believed that Kurt Angle's Raw vacation, and I use finger quotes for that, is being used to get him ready for an in-ring return. So anticipate him coming back in the next couple months. A lot of rumors have started to swirl about Chris Jericho and Impact Wrestling.
The hottest free agent, huh?
That's right. And now, I've not really reported on any of these because I didn't think there was much to them. I mean, Chris Jericho has come out, he's been on record of saying that he would never work for any other company in the United States besides WWE because he didn't feel like it was right to do that to Vince. He is doing his New Japan thing right now. He is the Intercontinental Champion there. But the more and more and more stuff that comes out, it's starting to get a little bit of credibility, and guys are really guys in the business who know Jericho, who are close to Jericho, and who work at Impact are now starting to talk more and more and talk freely and openly about it.
It'd be great for Impact because what else has Chris Jericho done? It would be great for Impact because what really hasn't Chris Jericho done? Go to a company and build them up. That'd be amazing stature to go, okay, let's say you're a distant second to WWE and you build ratings, you build revenue. in the end, if you do that,
You might
you're
even
helping
be
the
a
business.
third.
Yeah, you're building the business. And when you go help another organization, I don't think at this point in time, when you're in your late 40s, I don't think Vince is going to be totally offended because he knows he's doing it for a paycheck. Look, he's doing it for money. He's doing it to stay relevant. And when you're a free agent, that's what you're supposed to do, leverage yourself. And what better way to help the business? Go there, go to Impact, make a stand, have a good angle with one of the top stars, elevate 2 or 3 of the guys, leave the business better than where you had it. And I think that'd be great. I hope that Vince doesn't take offense to it because I'd always love to see, Chris Jericho around with the list periodically and be around in the future, especially when he's inducted into the Hall of Fame. He's done so much that going to Impact at this point in time, and if he gets him to a little better than ROH, it's fine. It's no big deal.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Do you miss the NWO?
I love the NWO. Oh my gosh.
What about Scott Hall?
Oh my gosh.
What about Kevin Nash?
I follow them all on Twitter, man. Good stuff.
Do you?
Yeah.
What about Hollywood Hogan?
Oh, you know me. I'm a big, huge Hollywood Hogan guy.
Well, it looks like they might be coming back to the WWE. You got to check out this YouTube announcement.
Oh my gosh. You have something? You got a clip? All right, let's play it.
The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
We're back.
And rules are made to be broken, Jack.
So Hulk Hogan is back with WWE, as we know.
Get out of here. I love that. I hadn't seen that before.
And in that video, there was a black and white graphic that was flashed that said, NWO announcement coming soon. So there has been talk about the NWO reuniting and coming back to WWE. I wasn't really sure how this is going to work, but now there's a couple videos. That was just one. There's a couple videos on YouTube like that.
NWO general managers of Raw? Come on now, be the authority figure. Just have them sit at a table every week, have them be judges, do something fun with the NWO. That's a natural transition for them, is to be, some authority figures, and maybe not maybe in a wrestling type way, but just we're here, we're in control, you come to us, and we're going to set the scene. It'd be fun to watch for a couple months.
The only thing is they look so old.
Yeah, they're old as hell.
They all look old.
Yeah.
So SummerSlam will be in Toronto, Ontario, Canada next year. That's like 5 hours away. We should maybe consider going. I'm just saying.
So I heard the news. I get the announcement, right? And so obviously the first thing I do is I go, honey, 2019 SummerSlam, Toronto. Text back, no. She's like, everything around our anniversary's got to be around wrestling. I don't want to do that. It's going to be expensive, and you got to do Toronto right. I'm like, dude, okay, fine. Can we just go to like a signing one day? She's like, no, because you got to see Toronto for 4 or 5 days. It's going to be massive expensive, but we're going to figure out a way to get around the scene there. There's no doubt about it. I don't care.
Maybe we can apply for some credentials.
Yeah, maybe we'll work. Call it work. Yeah.
We could.
We got to do something, man. Oh, my goodness. WWE's coming around Tuesday, I think, next week.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Smackdown will be here. They're going to be in Grand Rapids for a live show.
Okay.
So it's going to be awesome.
Smackdown Tuesday the 4th, I think. Yeah. Yep. Nice.
Excellent. So NXT star Velveteen Dream had his Twitter account hacked and his phone number released.
Oh, on a Twitter?
On Twitter. So
you have his number?
I don't have his number.
Oh, okay. You didn't see it.
No, but
that's the worst thing that can happen.
Yep. Goldberg shoots on WWE's Hall of Fame ceremony, saying
I saw that
needs to change because it sucks. He also told Vince this.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. He was not a fan of what took place and how it was laid out.
Yeah, because if you go back on the WWE Network, which is a great investment, I'll tell you that. Hands down, it's a great investment. I definitely have it. You look, and he's got to wait for all these speeches, and the biggest complaint he has is there's no time limit. So these guys can go up there and talk for 30, 40 minutes each. And so at that point in time, there are wrestlers in the stands that have to prepare for the next night's WrestleMania. So they're not going to stay till 11 o'clock at night or wherever the event takes place. They're not going to stay for 4 hours. So there was a scene when you go back, and it was definitely it stood out in my mind, where they pan way back, like on a crane, and they see Goldberg, and Goldberg's talking to the audience, but there's 10 rows of empty seats because all the wrestlers had left.
Yep.
All the current WWE stars, by the time it got to Goldberg, could not be around to hear him speak, and that visual was really telling, and it had to be a little bit offensive for a guy like Goldberg because he wants to talk to the fellas too. He wants to talk to the crew. He wants to talk to the current guys. Maybe he wants to say something to Kevin Owens. Maybe he wants to say something to Baron Corbin, and they weren't there. And while, yes, it is for the fans, it just wasn't the best look. And while I would agree that you should have maybe told Vince, but maybe not that way, saying it sucks. Say it could be enhanced.
He was pretty crass.
Yeah, he was not happy, and his
commentary.
and you could tell his ego was bruised a little bit. It is a little bit long, but it is a night to reminisce. And I think what might happen if they do make changes is maybe you just invite every year like 2 or 3 wrestlers instead of like 10, and that way you can have everybody make a 45-minute speech and it can take place.
So sticking with Goldberg. Stone Cold Steve Austin was at a Denny's this past weekend and was mistaken for Bill Goldberg.
That was awesome.
He took a picture of his food and posted it to Twitter, and he was not very happy. Thought that was kind of funny. Probably the biggest news and the biggest notes I have regard this man. He is the man that gravity forgot. He is Neville. Neville has finally been released from his WWE contract.
He gone.
He is free to wrestle wherever, whenever, however he would like, and it looks like he'll be facing Will Ospreay at All In this weekend. Again, you can watch All In on WGN for the very first hour. After that, it's going to switch over to the Fight Network or ROH's Honor Club streaming services. So, whoa. Because Neville has basically been benched by WWE. He walked out. There were some preliminary conversations about him possibly coming back. Those fell through, and he was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going back home. He went back home to England, and just recently...
He's on All In. That's going to be a big show.
He was released from WWE, so he can do whatever it is he feels, and Will Ospreay has called him out.
It's going to be a nice show, man. I think everyone's going to come away after seeing All In, especially with the buzz around CM Punk being there for signings, StarCast with all the podcasts being around, all the hype, all the great wrestlers, and especially the event. I mean, this is a marquee matchup for the guys like Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks, and it just goes to show you, hey, if you can promote an event that gets 10,000 people sold and you get a bunch of money for the boys, it's just good for the business. And these guys have to realize that, look, yes, WWE is the cash cow. They're number one. But having solid options only helps the business because, remember, if you only have one entity, they can work you 300 days a year and they can, not give you insurance, not take care of you. And by having competition, the fact that WCW was there helped the business because it gave the guys a chance to compete against Vince, make more money, work less.
The product was better.
The product was better when there's more companies that are competitive, and that's just the way it has to be. And Cody Rhodes and Young Bucks saying, look, why do it under the guise of another entity? Let's be the entity. And you can only hope more people try and do it.
Do you realize when Austin Aries left, that was just before Neville left? Part of the reason Neville was so pissed off was he found out how much Austin Aries was making per match and how he was making more money on the indie scene than he was making at WWE.
Exactly.
It blows my mind.
Exactly.
Like if these guys go out there
the
and
indie
hustle,
scene, you can make money.
Yeah. There is a revival to wrestling right now.
And
you're in it. You need another company to come and grab a hold of that second place, whether it be distance or really close to WWE. There has to be another company to challenge Vince.
And I don't know how closely you've heard some digs and things like that, but what WWE does passive-aggressively to make fun of people is they always say, I don't wrestle in bingo halls. But when I heard that the last time, I said to myself, you know what? The indie scene's a lot better. It didn't have the same sting as it did in the past, where if WWE said, oh, you wrestled in a bingo hall, do you not recall that Seth Rollins, Daniel Bryan,
all
AJ
of your
Styles
top stars on this brand right now
came from the bingo hall.
From bingo halls.
So that's the first thought I said was, that is not the best way to dig lower wrestlers.
Did I ever show you the video of Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles wrestling in a bingo hall?
No, it's
no,
be awesome.
I'll have to find it and I'll send it to you.
That's not the dig anymore. No, WWE's number one. You will make the most money. You'll get exposed the most. But by dissing indie scene, it's stupid to do that in this day and age with the quality of what's going on, especially with Ring of Honor and what's going on with New Japan and now this All In card. It rings hollow to say something like that.
Absolutely. Let's promo something for next week before we get out of here.
Yes, sir.
So next week, we are supposed to have Big Drew on from Big Drew and Jim.
Returning.
He does the Court of Nerds podcast. He is at StarCast right now as we speak. He's going to come back next week.
Break it down.
Join us right here. And he's going to tell us all about it. Give us the ins, the outs, the good, the bad, the ugly. Going to sit there and tell us firsthand what he experienced and how it was.
Perfect. You'll hear it here. Follow us on Twitter at Detroit Podcast during any big-time wrestling event. We're watching. We're paying attention. Feel free. If you've liked what you've heard, if you like our analysis, or if you don't like it, if you feel like Braun Strowman going heel was perfect, let us know. If you
If you hate Becky Lynch being a heel, let us know.
Exactly. Follow Adam on Twitter at AdamRSTROZ. Thanks to everybody that supports us and follows us during the week as well in the week of wrestling. We greatly appreciate it. See everybody next time.